The sun was beginning to climb high over South Africa's vast Kruger National Park, casting a brilliant, shimmering gold across the sweeping savanna. This was the kingdom of Anya, a ranger who had dedicated her young adulthood to preserving the fragile balance of this ecosystem. Anya's job was a blend of routine patrols and potentially dangerous standoffs, checking for poacher traps, monitoring migrating herds, and ensuring everything remained under control. The most basic and unforgiving safety rule was always etched into her mind. Never leave the vehicle when large predators are near. It was the law of survival. But this morning, a sudden, entirely unpredictable sight shattered all the rules. Standing in the middle of the dusty track, in the bright daylight, was a majestic lioness. Her posture was tense, but her usual ferocity was replaced by an intense, focused anxiety. She stared directly at Anya's approaching vehicle. Anya slowed down, reaching for her binoculars. She recognized her instantly. Nala, a familiar mother lion who frequented this area. Nala did not growl, but instead emitted a low, desperate sound. Not a territorial warning, but a plaintive whimper of distress. The sound cut through the vehicle's shell and froze Anya's heart. The mother lion approached the car cautiously, nudging her muzzle gently against the tire, and then immediately turned, focusing her gaze and head towards a nearby thicket. The gesture was unmistakable. This powerful queen of the savannah was not threatening. She was pleading for help. In that moment, Anya's 10 years of rule following collided with a primal, universal truth, the cry of a mother in distress. A powerful surge of adrenaline shot down Anya's spine. This was a moment of fierce separation between logic and instinct. She quickly radioed base, not for immediate backup, but to log the situation. I have a lioness, ID Nala, exhibiting highly unusual, soliciting behavior. She is guiding me towards a high-risk area. She whispered into the mic. Anya's heart pounded against her ribs. She knew the risks. A split-second misunderstanding could cost her life. Yet, Nala held her steady gaze, a silent promise imprinted in her amber eyes. She patiently waited for Anya's decision. In the end, it was the deep connection Anya felt for these creatures that won out. She trusted the instinctive desperation she saw, keeping her dart gun and satellite radio close. Anya took a deep breath and stepped out of the vehicle, slowly, deliberately, her boots crunching on the dry asphalt. Nala immediately began to lead the way, not running, but walking at a purposeful, measured pace along the roadside. Anya maintained a safe but reactive distance. The air was thick with tension. Every shadow, every rustle of the foliage seemed to hold a hidden danger. As they moved deeper into the thicket-heavy area, Anya realized she was being led to a spot notorious for human activity, specifically where discarded snare wire and netting from poachers were often left behind. With subtle movements, Nala communicated everything. Periodically, she would stop, look back to ensure Anya was following, then glance down at the ground and back at Anya. It was a silent map of need. This unique partnership, the savannah's most fearsome predator trusting a ranger, was a powerful testament to the bond that can form when respect overcomes the species barrier. The further they walked, the more Anya's skepticism dissolved, replaced by fierce resolve. She was no longer just a ranger. She was the answer to a mother's urgent prayer. They left the main track and entered a small, out-of-sight depression in the land. The air changed. It was cooler, damper, and carried a faint, unpleasant smell of old material. Anya braced herself for the worst. Knowing this was where the ugly remnants of the anti-poaching war often lurked. Nala stopped abruptly, her low, continuous whine finally focusing on one specific point, a dense, broken dry bush. Anya could see the signs. Branches violently snapped, dull, white nylon shards glinting among the dry leaves. Nala turned to look at Anya one last time, her eyes full of pleading. She understood. It was no longer safe to wait or call for help. She had to face her fear and act immediately, for the life of the cub lay in her hands. The sight that greeted Anya confirmed her fears. yet justified the heartbreaking urgency of Nala's plea. Nestled in the small hollow was a tragic tableau of human carelessness and cruelty. A horrific tangle of old nylon fishing nets, coarse ropes, and sharp branches, all discarded and left to become an inhuman, lethal snare. This was the painful, indirect damage of the anti-poaching war. Mindless debris turned into serial killers. And right in the middle of the chaotic trap, small and trembling, was Nala's cub, Keto. Keto was only a few months old, a pitiful mass of golden fuzz, now trapped and helpless. His tiny body was tightly bound by heavy rope strands, a cruel cinching belt around his chest, and one back leg was tightly twisted, pulled taut. The old fishing net, tough and unforgiving, clung to his neck and shoulders, an invisible collar that tightened every struggle. The cub was exhausted, his tiny cries almost inaudible, his large eyes wide with fear that melted Anya's heart. His fur was matted with dirt, and small streaks of blood marked where the nylon had cut into his tender flesh. Nala, the magnificent queen, now stood back, her body trembling, her eyes glued to Anya. She was entrusting everything to this woman. This was the ultimate test of faith. Anya whispered reassurances to Nala, and then, ever so slowly, approached the snared cub. She noted the details. The rope was too tight. The nylon net had to be cut carefully to avoid injuring Keto. Anya withdrew her specialized field knife. She had to work quickly, but with absolute precision. The presence of the mother made every cut a life-or-death decision. She used her body to shield the cub slightly, positioning herself carefully. The first cuts were difficult. The nylon was surprisingly tough. As she worked, Keto, in his terror, tried instinctively to nip at her glove, but Anya persisted, her focus unwavering. She gently and firmly cut the last strand of the restrictive rope binding his leg. The silent struggle lasted an eternity. Anya felt the intense heat of the sun on her neck and the acute tension radiating from Nala in the distance. She knew she had only one chance. If Nala misinterpreted any action as a threat, it would be over. But Nala remained just watching, just waiting. Her trust was Anya's greatest burden and her strongest motivation. She carefully removed the last piece of netting, freeing the final limb. With one final, clean, decisive cut, the dense nylon netting fell away from Keto's neck. The cub, stunned for a moment, then burst into a flurry of life. Anya immediately retreated, backing away several meters, her eyes still locked on Nala. The release was instantaneous and profoundly emotional. Keto, now free, stumbled on his numb legs, then bolted towards his mother. Nala met him halfway, dipping her head low. She did not roar in triumph or attack. She simply rubbed her head gently against Keto, licking his dusty fur with her rough tongue, checking him for injuries. It was a moment of pure, cross-species maternal relief. Anya stood watching, her chest tight with emotion, tears blurring her vision. She had risked her life, not in confrontation, but in an act of pure empathy, and now she was witnessing the reward. And then, the most extraordinary moment came. After a minute of checking her cub, Nala slowly raised her head. She looked directly at Anya. The previous strained, pleading energy was gone, replaced by a profound stillness. Nala took a few steps towards where Anya stood. She did not approach too closely, but stopped about 3 meters away. Nala slowly dipped her massive head once, a deliberate gesture, a universal nod of thanks. It was a moment of profound, wordless communication. In the heart of the wild, the queen acknowledged the debt. Anya met her gaze, a genuine, heartfelt smile breaking across her face. This was the reward for her dangerous, quiet work. This was why she stayed. Nala turned, nudged Keto, and the pair melted into the brush, leaving behind the cut strands of poacher rope and netting. The silence that settled was no longer tense, but restorative, peaceful. Anya knew that, in a world full of cruelty and indifference, she had just experienced a small miracle of trust and connection. She had been accepted by a wild creature, and she had saved an innocent life. Her mission now was not just conservation, but honoring the promise established in that moment. Anya returned to her vehicle, her hands slightly shaking, not from fear, but from the adrenaline and raw emotion of the experience. She radioed in the successful rescue and marked the precise coordinates of the discarded snare materials so a cleanup team could handle them immediately. Saving one life was crucial, but preventing similar traps was an unmissable duty. The encounter with Nala was not just a rescue. It was a powerful message. It smashed the wall between humans and the wild. This was not a tamed animal. This was a proud wild creature that had seen an ally, a human, a protector, and chosen to place its most precious hope in her hands. It proved that the deepest human emotion, compassion, is mirrored in the wild world through motherly love. Anya leaned back in her seat, looking out to where Nala and Keto had disappeared. Her face was weary but serene. Anya knew that the work she and her colleagues did was a constant struggle, a race against time, against indifference and greed. The story of Nala and Keto was the clearest proof of why they had to keep fighting. The power of life and love, even in the animal kingdom, is infinite, and it deserves to be protected at all costs. This story is a reminder that the war against poaching is not just about grand statistics. It is about one life, one family, one moment of connection. We are not nature's enemies. We could be its guardians. If you have been inspired and believe in the power of compassion, help us spread this message. Have you ever witnessed a moment of unexpected love or connection with a wild animal? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next touching and humane stories about wildlife. Click the share button and send this video to your friends so the story of the lion mother Nala's trust can reach millions of hearts around the world.